Hey guys, new week of astrology. We got another jam-packed astrology week. Monday is sort of like a week in and of itself. I am issuing a bit of a red flag warning for the energy on Monday. Self-discipline and self-awareness are probably going to do you well out there. I would kind of maybe like avoid big public ongoings and stuff like that. People are going to have a hard time controlling themselves. People are going to be at a snapping point. People are going to be acting out. There's a very like rebellious energy that we have going on. We've got an exact T-square really that is happening on Monday to get our week started between Mars, the Sun, and Chiron, cardinal signs. This is very tense. A lot of like inner tension, inner turmoil that is likely to just be exploding outwards. People are going to have a hard time controlling their tempers and probably what's coming out of their mouth as well, their actions and behaviors. Very emotionally reactive energy that we're moving through this week, building actually through Monday through the 17th, when another thing that we have going on this week is a full moon in the sign of Aries. Of course, that's going to be another very passionate, heightened emotional experience that we're building towards. And we also, thirdly, have Venus changing signs, entering Sagittarius later this week, along with the full moon. And that's going to bring a bit of a vibe shift as well. And this is also kind of like a big, expansive energy. So we've got a lot happening energetically this week. Again, like, things are probably a bit tense, but this is also, if applied properly, a very powerful energy to like do a lot, like get this job done, like go beast mode and like really handle some serious business. So we can be very productive in this energy or, kind of self-destructive in this energy. And we've just got a lot to talk about. So that being said, you guys, let's get into our report of the day. Let's take all of this into consideration and see if we can try to maybe figure out what things are going to be looking like for us as we move through the week towards this full moon. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Monday, October 14th, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. And if you stick with me until the end of this report, I have done a collective tarot reading for us today as well. I like to tap the energy field from more than one modality whenever I'm doing these energy overviews, just to get an alternative energetic perspective on what's going on out there. So there could be some messages in there for you. We're going to do that at the end. We are, of course, starting at the beginning with the astrology, and as I mentioned in my intro, right kind of off the jump this week as we move into the energy of Monday, it could be a bit of a rocky start. It's looking like issues, or at least maybe just kind of like being over it before the week really even gets started. In terms of what's happening this week, again, like the three main things that I'm looking at, we have Monday, which I said is sort of like its own week in and of itself. There's a lot happening, probably going to be maybe a bit of an issue. And then we have on the 17th, we have the full moon in the sign of Aries, and we also have Venus changing signs, leaving Scorpio, entering Sagittarius. What Venus is doing right now at this time of year is extra important too, because we are in Libra season. The sun is transiting the sign of Libra. Libra, of course, being ruled by Venus. And so what is happening with Venus is, letting us know a lot about what's happening with the sun and what is transpiring with a lot of the various aspects going on right now that are pertaining to Libra, and also the sign of Taurus, where Uranus is right now as well, which is one of the things that is happening on Monday also that we're going to be talking about in this report. Venus is actually coming into an exact opposition with Uranus retrograding through her sign of Taurus. So there could be some shakeups going on to get the week started as well. And I will also say, like, everything that is happening right now, especially that is taking place in like interpersonal dynamics, the things that we're finding out about, the things that we're coming to like a snapping point about and stuff too, a lot of it is pertaining to just like an inability to continue something, to perpetuate something, to keep going in some direction, and just like this very deep desire for change and like liberation on some level. And there is a definite push towards authenticity in all things right now, considering Venus opposing Uranus, the planet ruling authenticity, is kind of like a major energetic marker as we start the week this week. But also on a greater level, we're transitioning to the age of Aquarius. Pluto is preparing to enter the sign of Aquarius for a 20-year transit there. Authenticity is going to become a much more relevant, valuable, and like important notion moving forward, basically from now, like for like pretty much ever. And I mean, in a couple like 2,000 years, things will shift again as we leave the Aquarian energy. But yeah, that's going to be a major thing that just humanity and our physical experience on Earth is participating in over this greater period of time coming up here as we are moving into a 2,000-year age of Aquarius. So anyways, we've got Monday to talk about. We're going to be talking all about it in our video for today. We've got the full moon coming up this week. That will be the next video. And then we've got Venus and Sag. I'll probably talk about that in the weekend video and whatever else we've got going on to wrap this week up. So that's sort of our roadmap for the week, you guys. But let's talk about specifically Monday. More specifically, why I'm like really giving Monday a side eye this week. I love Mondays as a person. Monday, a lot of people hate on Mondays. Monday gets kind of a bad rap, but for me personally, like, I like Mondays because it's like a fresh energy. It's like every Monday, it's like a new opportunity to like do things better, like do things right, and just like, you know, grow or like succeed. I don't know. I like the fresh energy and like the newness and like the new opportunity that is presented with each new week. Just something about that. And so, you know, for me personally, when I see a Monday come together like this, it is not my most favorite thing. And I'm also always trying to find like the like nugget of gold in the rubble, you know, whenever we're dealing in more difficult or challenging circumstances, especially as we're moving into the age of Aquarius. That is also like a silver lining energy. Aquarian energy like makes the changes for us that we a lot of times haven't been able to make for ourselves. And it brings silver linings and blessings in disguise. And like when you get down the road, whatever Uranus has done in our lives, it usually always turns out to be something that we are super grateful for and is very like valuable to us, and like we wouldn't have gone back. Like, you know, if we had to do it over, we would have done it the same way, even if maybe we wouldn't have chosen that the first time, or you know, that type of experience. And so, you know, I feel like it's really important to be able to find like the good in everything, even if it is not apparently on the surface the most positive right now, because the Aquarian energy, the Uranian energy is such a, well, and it's going to continue to be, we're all gonna like have to learn how to operate within this energy of sometimes things just happening that seem, especially over this next couple of years as Pluto is just getting his transit started in the sign of Aquarius, like things that, you know, totally shake the ground that we're standing on and seem like the tower crumbling, you know, like in the moment, maybe the world was ending, worst thing ever. But then as time goes on and, you know, the dust clears and the fog lifts or whatever, like we come to understand that like, oh, I'm actually standing on more stable ground. Like this is actually what I needed to do to like get to the next level somehow. And like I couldn't get myself there. You know what I mean? So we need to be able to understand that like things generally, and as we go through this breakdown period over this next couple of years, you know, even the next decade perhaps, as we are really going through the transitional process between the end of the old world, the collapse of the old world, and the birth of this new world, new era that we're moving towards, we have to be able to skew positive, you know what I mean? Like we have to be able to look for those golden nuggets amongst the rubble. And anyways, the whole reason I went off on that tangent is because I'm trying to say I really try to find or to see this energy that we have coming through an octave in alignment with like a high potential associated with it, because you know we can with all energy always presents in varying octaves, and a lot of times like where our mental frame is geared and where our belief system is geared has a lot to do with our experience of that energy. So if we can see it for what it is and the octaves that it can present, a lot of times we can work with it through the higher manifestations of that energy. And, you know, I will say, as we're getting started on this report, the higher manifestations of this energy are the ability for it to like move mountains. Like, this is energy that if we put our will to it, we can really like perform some tremendous feats of labor. Okay, like this is a very strong aptitude to like get the job done in a real productive and like no nonsense type of way. So if there is something, some hard work that needs to be accomplished or needs to get done, gearing and orienting yourself that way and not allowing like steam to just be blown off in like insignificant disputes and conflicts and fits of rage and stuff like that. That is how we want to, you know, in the most mature, with the moon conjuncting Saturn, which we'll talk about in self-disciplined way, gear our, you know, the maybe perhaps like embroiled energy, or just like the because there's just likely to be this sense of like internal angst or irritability or frustration or like a desire to like break things and stuff like that. So if we can channel that into something that is productive rather than destructive, that would be the way to go. But it's going to be hard, you know, and let's talk all about it. Okay. First of all, I always talk about the moon, you guys. If you follow my channel, I always talk about how the moon just always seems to find its way conspicuously at like the exact point to the exact place or planet that it would need to be at to like have the most like significant impact in relation to like other transits and activations that are playing out. And Monday is no exception to that rule. The moon's going to be like literally in exact conjunction to Saturn in the sign of Pisces, who's retrograding through Pisces, while we have this other energy that is playing out on Monday that I'm going to talk about. And when I saw that first, I was like, oh, okay, so we've got a moon Saturn day. That's not always, you know, the moon and Saturn definitely presents challenges. There's a lot of very positive, productive, precise energy that's available to us when we have a moon Saturn conjunction. So, you know, but it does have a tendency to get sort of like a bad rap because it can just be kind of like depressing and emotionally deflating and can make us a bit like just negative and pessimistic and self-isolating and feeling like alone and like it's us against the world and stuff like that. So, you know, and it only happens once a month. Like the moon is only going to conjunct Saturn ever once a month because Saturn is only in one place when the moon comes to meet it once a month. So again, like how opportune it would be that the moon would have its once monthly meeting with Saturn right when we are having an exact Sun-Mars square, which is a very conflict-oriented energy, can bring clashes of wills. We'll get there in a minute. But so we've got the moon conjuncting Saturn. So I saw that and I was like, oh, okay, you know, it could be a very good productive day. And then I look further at the chart and I'm like, okay, Venus. Venus is an exact opposition with Uranus too. Oh, that's interesting. So we've got the moon and Saturn and we've got Venus and Uranus. Okay, so maybe we're just something exciting is going to happen. It's a good day to get hard work done, and there could be an element of excitement or change that is going on, something stimulating. Okay, and then I looked further and I was like, oh, and the sun in Libra is also going to be an exact opposition to Chiron in the sign of Aries. And when we've got harsh Chiron aspects going on, often Chiron is the wounded healer, teacher, master archetype, but a lot of times, you know, when we're dealing with Chiron energy, this is an initial wound, an initial trauma, pain. It can really press on our wounds. It can make us feel very vulnerable. It can bring up our weaknesses, our states of victimhood. We can sort of feel like reflecting on or reacquainted with where we've been hurt in the past, and in the sign of Aries, like how that has debilitated us on like a personal level somehow. And, you know, Chiron is also a very healing energy. This is the same energy where we derive ultimately the wisdom that heals us and releases us from, you know, generally the karmic cycles that had us in that state of wounding in the first place. Okay, and you know, we talk about the hero's journey and the personal alchemization that's associated with it all the time. But, you know, when I see a harsh Chiron aspect, a lot of times it can just bring up wounding and pain and victimhood and just like not the, you know, our favorite things. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, we've got all of those three things going on. maybe it will bring some much needed healing that we have. And then I also proceeded down the chart and looked. I'm like, oh, no, we've got an exact Mars square to the sun happening while the sun is in exact opposition to Chiron, and the moon is in an exact conjunction to Saturn, and Venus, who's ruling the position of the sun, is in an opposition to Uranus. So we've got an exact square, again, this very like tumultuous aspect between the sun and Mars, with Chiron over there indicating perhaps some type of like wounding, victimization, just like painful situation could be going on. And Mars is in Cancer right now, ruled by the moon, who's in the conjunction to Saturn, like major conflicts with authority figures, perhaps, rules, limitations that are contributing to maybe like bouts of rage or anger or conflict or fight going on. And then square to the sun in the sign of Libra, ruled by Venus opposite Uranus, like this is sudden, this is shocking, like snapping point, people losing it, right? So by the time that I like saw every aspect that was going on in the chart today, I'm like, okay, well, we need to take it for what it is. It's probably a good day to like armor up and be prepared for battle. Okay, don't go to battle, but if battle comes to you, all right, we want to be prepared that things just might get a little bit rocky or bumpy out there. It's just like there's no other way to skew it. Like I said, well, there is everything that happens right now, you guys, is priming us for fated necessary change that is actually going to put us in a better place. But I don't think that necessarily like changes, you know, the dynamics of how things might just be sort of coming into play with all of this. Like the sun squaring Mars, like this is notorious for just like ego conflict, okay? And, you know, attacks, fights, infighting. We're talking about the signs of Cancer and Libra. That's the home and the family and the community. And that Libra, that's friends and relationships and social groups and networks. It's also justice, the justice system, harmony, peace. This is going to be like a very strong, like disrupting the peace type of energy. Feeling under attack, perhaps, the home, the homeland, the community, again, like clashes of wills, clashes of willpower, struggles with authority for sure, too, with that moon Saturn conjunction that just happens to be going on as well. Huge power struggles. And don't forget, we just recently also had Pluto station direct. So we're just in this very powerful window period of time right now between now and I think it was I think it's like November 18th or November 19th or something like that. I knew it the other day. Now I can't think of the specific date when Pluto re-enters the sign of Aquarius. This is like the end of a certain form of like power structures going on. And honestly, like things could just get some type of messy this week, okay? And the authority dimension of things is very much indicated through the moon, through the lunar conjunction with Saturn, okay? So honestly, altogether, just kind of like an ugly emotional setup that we may have going on today, or people just behaving like not maybe all that rationally, absolutely just over it. And again, with the planetary rulership that we have going on, Venus ruling the position of the sun in Libra opposite Uranus, the moon ruling the position of Mars in Cancer conjunct Saturn. And this is cardinal energy as well. Cardinal energy, you know, I talk about this. This is like an active initiatory like force, okay? Things are happening. This is going to be a very action-oriented week. We, of course, are, again, building to this full moon in Aries also, which is going to have people fired up. Things could again, to me, just like on the even surface value of it, this looks like a good week to kind of cool your jets, you know what I mean? Like proceed with caution, maybe be very like on the outskirts of things, maybe not get yourself fully involved, not going to battle over battles that are not yours, okay? Like I said, like if the battle comes to you, you know, this is we're going to be standing our ground, and we're going to be fighting back and defending ourselves. You can trust and believe that. Like, people are not going to be pushed around. This is the collective. Okay, the Cancer is a sign of the moon. The moon rules the collective, like the public. With Mars there, this is like people fighting back. Like, this is the courage and the strength and the motivation to like defend the home, defend the homeland, defend the family, the community, like the children, the mother, feminine energy and stuff like that as well. And it's this male, it's like the divine masculine energy. Like, people are acting, people are taking action, people are standing up. Okay, like, we're not taking things lightly, we're not taking things lying down. Like, and it's also the cycle breaking energy as well with the Chiron influence. Chiron is the cycles that we break to set ourselves free from essentially like the traps associated with the lower vibrations that come from like how we're wounded, and the subconscious programming that is instilled in us as a result of that, how it keeps us in these cycles of attracting the same things over and over again, because it's like that's what our programming is. But in order to be released from that programming, it's like we have to like be pushed to the point where we have these breakthroughs and make these realizations and gain this wisdom through experience that then allows us to release. I'll tell you guys another thing. Forgiveness is like the antidote to everything that's playing out this week. I wouldn't be surprised if that synchronicity card actually comes out. It's been coming out a lot lately in the readings, but like, when we're dealing with strong Chiron energy, forgiveness is like the alchemy. That is like the like magic sauce or whatever, like the magic fairy dust that turns the lead into gold. It's like this relationship to the concept of forgiveness, and realizing that when we forgive people, we actually like do ourselves a service. We release ourselves from these attachments, these like energetic cords that exist when we have like negative feelings towards people because of how they've harmed us or wronged us or victimized us in the past. That's another thing that could be coming up, like alongside the Chiron element, that is probably going to be pretty prominent. Like, people are probably going to be, you know, snapping and at a breaking point because they are not going to take it anymore, because they're not going to deal with it anymore, or because like they've been so wronged and harmed in the past that is bringing them to a breaking point. Like, either way, it's like whatever's been going on is like not going to continue to be perpetuated. Things also that have been disrupting peace or balance or security, perhaps within home or family, could be part of this as well. And I just like, it just honestly, like, all I can really do is chuckle about it, because even Venus right there is telling us like what we desire from all of this is change, and people are going to probably be willing to take maybe some radical actions here to really like break themselves free or out of a situation that has been contributing to some type of either self-deception, like keeping us detached from ourselves somehow, or wounding, trauma, pain, suffering, that has ultimately resulted in this understanding that we have because of what we've been through. So really, you know, however this plays itself out, be it in our personal lives or something that we are just witnessing unfold on a more world stage level, themes of either collective wounding, trauma, victimization could present with this, as well as just, you know, where we personally have experienced wounding, trauma, pain, suffering. With Chiron in the sign of Aries and the Sun in the sign of Libra, this has a lot to do with self and others as well, relationship dynamics, and, you know, where we have been personally wounded and how it's impacted like the way that we relate to ourselves on a lot of levels, and therefore relate to other people also. But there's a definite like, with Venus opposite Uranus here, and we're talking about the Sun in Libra in this square, rebelling and fighting back against authority, like not having it at all. That's really where we're sort of geared and where we're at in this energy. And especially as we build into this very fiery, passionate Aries full moon that we have coming up, like, this is not the week, you guys, where we want to be letting our emotions run the show. A lot of people are going to be at the whim of like whatever emotional response or reaction is bubbling up within them. But we need to realize, okay, Mars is currently transiting through the sign of Cancer. Cancer is a sign ruled by the moon. That's our emotions and that's our feelings. Mars is a sign of the self and the ego. When we have a Mars Cancer transit going on, there can be a stronger fusion between our identity, our self-perception, our ego, and our feelings, okay? People have a tendency of over-identifying with their feelings. Therefore, if their feelings get hurt in any type of way, attacking the perceived perpetrator seems completely appropriate. Okay, so a lot of people are probably going to be like lashing out and launching personal attacks based on anywhere where their feelings are like being hurt in this energy. And it will behoove us, you guys, to draw the distinction and to draw the line between, you know, us as a conscious being and the emotions that we're dealing with as we're going through this energy. The emotions could be very overpowering. Again, a lot of people are probably going to be like skewing towards like the anger oriented nature of things, just this like inner tension or angst or hostility, and wanting to direct that outwards to like whoever we feel like is responsible for that. But we just got to realize this is just an embroiled like just heated emotional energy going on, but we are not our emotions, okay? That's just how we're feeling about things in this moment, but that energy, you know, it is going to shift. Now, there may be sort of just like a building emotional tension or like passions may be growing kind of throughout the next couple of days, because we are moving towards this full moon in the sign of Aries, which of course is a moon ruled by Mars. So this could be just kind of a very, we'll call it passionate week, okay, that we're moving through generally. And then also we've got Venus moving to Sag at the end of the week, which is also kind of like a big passionate energy. So there's a lot of passion going on out there, but again, like the themes of like crimes of passion and stuff like that, and people just kind of being at a breaking point, snapping point, losing emotional control, highly emotionally reactive. This is what we're likely to be encountering and dealing with, especially also with the moon and Saturn in the conjunction in the sign of Pisces. Like this is also probably going to bring up a lot of issues to do with control, but even more so perhaps like where we feel out of control, what we feel that we can't control and are therefore sort of like forced to surrender to, yet also like very much desire to rebel against. This could be just, you know, the waters that we are traversing, okay, as we move through the week. And a lot of people, again, are going to be dealing with that. Venus opposite Uranus also. Like, I want change, but change from what? With everything else that we've got going on, change from essentially like whatever I continue to be subjected to that is just no longer aligned with. Remember, we are concluding right now, we're in the process of concluding a North Node transit through the sign of Aries. This has been a whole period of time right here, this past year and a half, which is trying to help us recreate ourselves and re-identify ourselves in an alignment with like a greater connection and relationship to our own authentic purpose, okay? As we are transitioning into the age of Aquarius right now, we're actually all energetically being like realigned in such a way as to like promote our ability to reach a greater level of self-actualization, because over time that's what the age of Aquarius energy is going to do to us and for us. And so as we attune ourselves to that energy, there's going to be a stronger call and desire from like inwards inside of us to be more of who we really are, okay? Which is going to mean being less of who we aren't, maybe being less of who we used to be or who we pretended to be or who we legitimately thought we were as we awaken to, you know, who we really are and like the true destiny or path or purpose that is actually meant for us and actually aligned with that. So a lot of things at this point are going to be reaching their breaking point, and we just are not going to want to perpetuate it anymore. Anywhere where things have been unfair or out of balance or blocking our ability to align with ourselves, like we're done with that. Cycles that have been self-sabotaging and not moving us in the right direction, we're done with that. Like the patterns, what's been on repeat that just isn't working for us anymore, the old ways that things have been, the past, the old beliefs, the boxes that we used to keep ourselves contained within, other people's thoughts and other people's opinions that are just totally irrelevant now in the context of like what we're coming to find about ourselves and and what we're learning and where we're going and what we want to grow into now. This is break the chains energy. And again, like anything that feels overly controlling, overly burdensome, overly heavy, there's probably just going to be this inherent urge to like shake it off and to maybe go in a whole new direction, perhaps at any cost. Okay, so people are definitely going to be not willing to comply. Okay, the desires for change, newness, freedom, and authenticity, which is, again, like, especially as we conclude we're in this window period right now, this last couple of days of Pluto in the sign of Capricorn before he begins a new 20-year Aquarius transit that is really, really going to like empower like authenticity, like things that are authentic and like things that are genuine and real. Like that is where the magnetism and the power and the pull is going to be going forward. And we're going to feel that within ourselves too, which is going to be another part of this puzzle that really comes online in terms of how it works, how the transition and shift of ages happens. That's going to have a lot to do with it. And we're getting there. But, you know, this week, you guys, like blowing up the whole wall to escape the cage, like, it's kind of the vibe. Like people are kind of perhaps going to be there. Again, therefore, I personally would avoid like big public crowds, big public events if you can help it. You know, if you don't have to be right in the middle of it all, it may just be wise. Okay. I actually haven't looked at the full moon chart yet. That will be my project for tomorrow, and we will have a full moon video out on Wednesday. So I'm not exactly sure at this moment how specifically everything lines up, but I mean, we're talking about an Aries full moon that we're moving into. This Mars energy is very tense and heated right now. So again, like it's just a bit of a volatile energy this week. It does give a more violent and destructive tendency. And with Venus in the opposition to Uranus, ruling the position of the sun, in the square to the moon, and the moon in, you know, the conjunction to Saturn, the whole setup, random acts of spontaneous violence could be a thing. Looks like also perhaps like a prime energy, what we might see in the context of like a false flag situation playing out, or again, some type of like attack or crisis or like more collective like traumatic event or incident that takes place. So be aware, right? We're not being scared, we're being prepared here. We are like gaining an understanding that the kind of energy field could be more prime for this type of thing, so that we know how to act and behave accordingly. Stay in your own lane today. Do not get into battles that are not your own. Again, if the battle shows up on your doorstep and all you can do is stand there and respond, then that's how things need to go. But we are not going out looking for a fight because we just got all types of crazy like energy like swirling inside of us and we don't know what to do with it. Again, you know, if you do have that going on, like find something you can get into, something that you can like go beast mode into, something that you can like really work hard on, that ultimately is going to be productive and not something that you're like shooting yourself in the foot about. Okay, after this energy passes and we're looking back and we're like, oh my God, what was wrong with me? You know what I mean? Let's try to get ahead of that, so that we're not having to like backtrack and make up. I mean, one of my last videos, I was talking about how this is a period of time about mistakes and corrections with Jupiter now retrograde, but we can apply the wisdom of Jupiter, you know, maybe like a little bit in advance, so that we don't need to backtrack and make that mistake. Maybe we can like apply the lesson and the wisdom gained through experience to our current circumstances, so that we don't have to learn it again. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. So use your energy to benefit you, okay? Don't waste it on like fruitless conflict that might be just not worth it in the end, once like all is said and done and this energy passes, okay? On the plus side though, as I talked about earlier, talk about growing up, you guys, like being mature, getting the job done. If there's a job that needs to be done, if there is something that needs to be tackled, this is a really good way to like unleash that turbulent energy that could be going on inside that, you know, if used another way, could be more destructive than constructive, especially within the home, especially within the community. Like colossal efforts and feats of labor on behalf of like specifically men, but this is also just the masculine energy generally, like citizens and the public also, with Mars in the sign of Cancer, in the context of cleanup and rebuilding, perhaps from water damage impacting home, family, and community, strongly represented here. I'm not very surprised that we've had all of these like horribly devastating hurricanes and water damage lately, between the eclipses that we've been in, all this black moon energy, and also we have had ongoing trines between Mars and Cancer and Saturn and Pisces. Those are both, like, you know, according to ancient astrology, like the great malefics, both in water signs. So I'm not really surprised that we've had a lot of damage and like deconstruction via water. If you guys have been following my videos, I'm talking about how there's this theme that's been going on in the context of the Saturn, Mars, and water sign energy about things like deconstruction and also construction, things being broken down and washing away and like just like eroding, but also very powerful like master builder collaborative energy going on right now to like work together to like really get like a lot of work done. And so, you know, even though we've had all this water energy, you know, representing a bit of a destructive, or, you know, translating clearly into very destructive forces that have been playing out, we also are simultaneously, and as we move through the energy this week as well, being presented with support in terms of strength and perseverance and an ability to rebuild and to like put that energy in that will have like monumental, like, again, like this like colossal effort result. And it's like, it's Mars in the sign of Cancer. Cancer is like the sign of the public. It's ruled by the moon. It's about like the people, the public, the collective energy. So it's not like, this is not being indicated as necessarily being like the government relief effort. You know what I mean? Like the government would be Saturn that's retrograding in Pisces. Like that is not a strong foundation there. Like that is not a strong like authoritative like hand over things. But what it is it's lots of individuals that are being driven by this like willpower to like accomplish something, to defend and protect and stuff like that, that are working together, coming together in a way that can create this just like tremendous effort for the best, for the good. So we do see that. We do see the presence of that very much coming through in the energy this week as well. So I bet that there is a very strong rebuilding effort underway in the context of like neighbors helping neighbors, like communities coming together, like individual people, like building bridges and stuff like that, like to like reestablish, to like make things work again. So yeah, there is that on the plus side of things. But, you know, the moon and Saturn, it's probably, honestly, probably going to be a bit of a downer for a day. Low vibes, maybe depressing, a sense of hopelessness, feeling like maybe nothing will ever get better. Like we just have this, like, to the extent that we're capable of producing like these legendary efforts and results, you know, sort of like the Paul Bunyan type of energy. It also is very demoralizing. Like it looks like we've got to move mountains. You know, it could also just feel very heavy and depressing, okay, with the Saturn moon conjunction as well. And also the square. That could be contributing to this internalized tension and all of that. This could also represent, of course, also like literal breakdowns, like things literally breaking or falling apart. We actually have Mercury at 2 degrees of Scorpio on Monday, a broken bottle and spilled perfume. So things could literally just be like breaking and spilling out in all of the contexts. This could also definitely represent emotional releases that are very much underway here. Again, like emotions coming out and being known. That also reminds me of the Venus-Uranus energy, like a broken bottle and spilled perfume. Like Venus energy would rule perfume. Uranus is the tower energy. So represented there also. But over this next couple of days, like even though it may feel very heavy as we start the week, as we build towards the full moon, energy is going to like liven up. We're going to get reinvigorated. We're going to get like impassioned about something. And we're going to be probably like ready to act, ready to take action. Lots and lots of Mars energy going on this week. Use it to move yourself forward, not backwards, right? We're using it to be productive, not to like shoot ourselves in the foot with the Pisces energy going on, Saturn and the moon together. Self-discipline, emotional self-control. These are the lesson plan for us this week, okay? And with Chiron being there as well. Intentionally being perhaps responsive, but not reactive in the ways that we use our energy and our emotions. In terms of some other symbolism that we have going on, we have Mars at 22 degrees of Cancer in the square today, a woman awaiting a sailboat. Again, more of these themes of moving on. Venus opposite Uranus, that is what all of this is pushing towards. We've got Venus at 27 Scorpio. A military band marches noisily through the city streets. Something could be causing a scene, right? And again, this is also kind of like giving the like battle type of connotations that could be going on out there as well. There could be like literal military action that is going on in association with the way that this chart is coming together, but another day ultimately that is priming us to move on or move away from something. Okay, so that is what I'm saying, you guys, about our astrology for today. Let's talk about the tarot reading for a minute. We had an interesting kind of a unique tarot message come out today. We've got lots of emphasis on coins and also on wands. Like I said, you know, we have to keep in mind that the moon is in a conjunction with Saturn as we start our week on Monday. Things are likely to look a lot bleaker than they actually are. On the back of the deck, we have the Page of Pentacles in reverse. We may sort of, you know, be feeling hopeless. We also have we've got the 10 of Swords in reverse. We've got the Knight of Wands in reverse and also the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. We're not going to be destroyed, okay? Like, that is one thing that we can be sure of. Like, there is a healing effort underway. We are possibly, like, making our way back from the dead in some type of a way, or at least feel like that on some level. But it's not like an easy pursuit right now. Like, it may feel like there's like some huge obstacle or challenge that we have to overcome as a part of this process to like right ourselves again. We do, like, there is the inspiration to move forward, and we do know the other cards that we're going to be talking about in a minute, you know, what it is, where we want to get to, and like what needs to be done and what we want to create. But it just may feel in this moment that like the path of getting there right now for some reason is like extra daunting or extra difficult or extra hard. But the other sequence of cards that we had coming out, we got the King and the Queen of Wands both coming out with the Ace of Pentacles. There is a very, very potent, creative, like integrated force and energy right now, again, that is helping to move us forward, helping us to not give up, helping us to like recenter ourselves in a way where maybe we can pick up the pieces of something and like begin to build or grow or create again. Whatever it is, you know, that this could be representing in your life, like I feel like it's saying that we need to not give up. Like things, it's almost like this is what we think is happening, but this is what's actually happening. You know what I mean? Like we may feel like we just narrowly missed like utter defeat, like altogether, utter collapse. You know what I mean? But the fact is that, you know, we did. And while we may be perceiving right now it as being like a very, very difficult comeback, this is saying to me, like, we need to not lose hope. Again, like things are not as they seem. There are some powerful, either powerful, like legitimate influences or like leaders or some like person that has like a very strong balance of masculine and feminine energy and that is like using their creative power in a way that is like renewing things somehow, or like that's what we need to do, or that we need to like get a hold of this energy and figure out how to channel it into whatever it is that we want to build and create right now and not allow ourselves to be defeated. Because like this is a 10 of Swords, right? This is the idea. This is the thought. This is not like what's actually happening. It's like the thought, like we thought that we like all was lost, and it now the Knight of Wands in reverse, like it's like diminished our motivation or our fervor to like move towards like what we thought we wanted to accomplish, or we were like taken off our throne, or we feel like we're out of power, or we feel like our life is in shambles or something like that. Like that's also what this could be. It's just like feeling, or like the things that we've been committed to or something like that, like there's been a loss or something that's gone on, or we feel like our physical reality somehow is like not again, yeah, like there's been like some type of loss or something. But it, with these cards coming out on the other side, it's really saying, you know, and that's another, it's weird, I should say this, I meant to say it, the symbolism, the degree placements today in terms of the Sabian symbol placements, we've got like 22s across the board. It's 22 degrees in terms of the 21 degrees, but round to 22 degrees for the Sabian symbol placements, where the T-square between the Sun and Chiron and Mars is, they're all at 22 degrees of their signs. Jupiter is currently stationed just retrograde at 22 degrees of Gemini. We also had Mercury at 2 degrees of Scorpio. Like twos are all over the charts right now, and Mars and Venus are still in a relative trine in water signs. Like there is something about, and then we've got the King and the Queen of Wands, like that's the dual nature of the fire energy. That's their like balanced counterparts, and coming together with this Queen or Ace of Pentacles, like the birth of something brand new that is physical, tangible, and grow into creation. There are some extremely important like collaborations or joining forces or relationships or partnerships or divine alignments or soulmate connections that are either on the verge of coming in, or that like have made their way into our lives like very recently over this like last little bit of period of time here. And they're gonna help us rebuild and recreate and make something brand new that is going to put us back on our proper throne and re-inspire us to continue moving forward. Anyways, okay, that's what I'm going to say about the tarot. Let's get a synchronicity. It's funny, I picked up the deck, and this is actually the card that was on top of the deck. It says stop, don't argue. So I'm going to read that card for us as well, because it just seems like extra relevant in terms of all this Mars energy, square energy, Saturn energy that we've got going on out there. But let's get one more synchronicity card as well. What would be an additional piece of guidance or advice that will benefit us as we move through the week, get our week started? What do we need to know? Shuffling is not happening super well today. These cards usually shuffle very well. Okay. Piece of guidance or advice that will benefit us in moving through this week. What do we need to know? Oh, we got two more. So, okay, we're going to do 3 synchronicity messages to start our week. We got 2 that came out of the deck, and then we got this one that was on top. So we have stop, don't argue, change your thoughts, and a blessing in disguise. All themes associated with our report today. Okay, so stop, don't argue. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. There you go. Exodus 14:14. Don't fight or argue. Rest in the assurance God is working for you on this matter. Relax, let go, and know a divine solution takes place. Harmony will return. Behave now as if it is already before you. We have change your thoughts, and it shall prosper in the thing for which I sent it. Isaiah 55:11. Whatever seed you plant will come back to you in its fruit. If you plant a bitter seed, you will get a bitter fruit. Sweetness will beget sweetness. Likewise, flavor your thoughts and your speech with sweetness, that you may dwell in a sweet life. Holding to your present thoughts will bring you unhappiness. And lastly, a blessing in disguise. And the Lord sent thunder and rain that day. 1 Samuel 12:18. Thunder and lightning can be frightening and give us a scare, but it's followed by a blessed rain. You are divinely guided and blessings follow. So we need to chill out this week, you guys. Make sure that we are viewing things from a perspective that is positive, like to us generally, and not kind of just like perpetuating maybe a more negative mindset or viewpoint, and realize we're in the season of blessings in disguise right now. So that's what I'm going to say. A message from the stars, message from the cards. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did like it, please give me a thumbs up, you guys. Subscribe to my channel. Share it with your friends if you think that they would enjoy this type of astrology content as well. Leave me comments, you guys. I really value what you guys have to say. I appreciate knowing what's going on out there with you. If you are having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. Again, that's very valuable information to me. I'm so grateful for your presence here. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I have a Facebook group where I post images of those linked in my description box below. And come back with me on Wednesday, you guys. As I said, we will be getting into the full moon in Aries, more bang bang big energy to talk about, and I will be here to talk about it. You should be here too. I will see you next time, guys. Have a beautiful beginning to your week. Yes, you will, and yes, we will, and I will see you next time. Till then, bye, guys.